Welcome back to Season 3 of Rookie Watch, where today we continue this Baltimore Ravens tale of woe. That is to say, Devontae Davis is inflicting woe upon his opponents, and the rest of the team is pretty much just inflicting it upon themselves. In today's first game, we're taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. They are the best team in the league, and the offense is absolutely stacked. Mixon is still really good, Chase is a 99, T. Higgins is playing up to a 95, and they even have Wan'Dale Robinson at an 88. I'm not really confident, but I wasn't about to insult this team. They're led by Joe Burrow. Kind of surprised he's only a 96 overall with these ratings. I guess the throw power is really low for some reason. I'm not sure why that is. Does it start out that low? Or has he had some weird regression? Or is his arm just not as strong as I think it is? At any rate, he's having an incredible season. At this point, betting favorite to be the MVP and to win the Super Bowl, I'd say. Here's that crazy receiver room I mentioned. They are missing their top 10 into injury, but their number 2 looks decent. At right tackle is the third-year player Dan Emery. He's a bit more run-focused, but should prove a good matchup for Davis. Despite all that, the Ravens start out with a touchdown, and Cincy's defense is not bad at all. So that's a good start for them here in Cincy. And Davis is right into the backfield. Burrow gets it away, but it's knocked down by Marcus Williams. Across midfield now, Burrow alone in the backfield, looking to tie this one up. Fires right, and he missed his man. It's Roquan Smith instead. He's got plenty of space in front of him. Nobody's got time to catch him, and Baltimore is going to take a 14-0 lead. Only Burrow's 4th pick of the year. Looking at the replay, not sure if this is a miscommunication about the route or if he just missed him. But this offense is full of talented veterans. They're going to bounce right back inside the red zone. But here's Devontae Davis. Burrow lost the ball. Murray Jones falls on it, and that's another turnover. It's 21-0 Ravens in the first quarter. Another big hit by Davis. I was really expecting the inverse of this score. Cincy is still fighting though. Great slant by Jamar Chase, and he's going to house this one, so they're on the board. And since that sack fumble, Burrow's been great under pressure. Here he is again, getting it out to Chase. He's been one of the best receivers in the league almost since he got here. This team has plenty of weapons though. There's Wan'Dale Robinson, wide open in the middle of the field at the first down marker. That is not how you play zone coverage. More pressure from Davis. Burrow trying to escape. He gets the throw away, but it's incomplete. They'd get a field goal there, and now at the end of the half, they're going to have a chance for a really long one, 61 yards, and they're calling it good. Did that bounce off the crossbar and out? No, it hit the back of the net and then hit the crossbar. That's a big bounce off the net. And early in the second half, the Bengals have come roaring back, but they would not get the 2-point conversion to tie. Into the fourth quarter, Baltimore has added on 10 more points, and here's Devontae Davis, the first defensive highlight in a while. That would lead to 3rd and long. Wan'Dale Robinson fighting to get as much back as he can, and they would take the long field goal here. So still a 2-score game, but they would get the ball back, and Devontae Davis with a sack, just pile driving Joe Burrow, taking a big man right to the gut. That's gotta hurt, but he's right back up. They're still very much in this game, but Burrow's running from Davis again. He's going to get it downfield once again to Michael Williams, and now in the red zone, he's got Jamar Chase wide open in the middle of the field. I don't know what the linebackers are doing, but since he did not go for 2, they wanted to be able to get the lead with a field goal. Instead, Baltimore scores a touchdown. It's a 2-score game again with a minute and a half to go, and that's going to do it. Justin Sloan just picked off Joe Burrow. They were going to have to score quickly if they were going to have any chance left in this one, and it just got buried. The big upset is complete. Burrow was honestly phenomenal in this game. Not often you see 50-plus passes with an 80% completion rating. The pick 6 was pretty bad, can't really blame him for the second one. And Dom Flynn was really good today, as was Gordon Bailey. Buck 26 and 2 touchdowns. Half of that was on the first drive, I think, but outdueled Jamar Chase just barely. You gotta come out pretty impressed with the offense today. No sacks allowed, 2 for Devontae Davis in the meantime, 1 TFL as well. And that big forced fumble early, he's very much earned himself another upgrade. Just 1 to finesse moves this time, but can't complain about the other stuff, up to an 82 there. As mentioned, no sacks. I'm going to credit the players because I didn't do anything. We had 3 different scenarios coming into this game, and we got all of them. So we are boosted up right now. Going to have a +5 on our pass rush moves in the next game, and +2 morale. We've got stolen momentum for even more boosts. This is getting a little ridiculous. I would not want to be whoever we're facing next. Roquan Smith gets the player of the game with the pick 6. He did have a bunch of other nice plays as well, and Chris Hargrove with 6 passing touchdowns. Gotta love that, and now we've got the good version of this scenario. I don't know how long we're going to be able to go keeping Dom Flynn clean, because I'm pretty sure he just runs into sacks. But this is interesting. A dev upgrade challenge for Flynn. Everyone's been assuming his days in Baltimore are numbered, but maybe that could change. Of course, we're headed into Lambeau. We're playing against a rookie quarterback who already has the same overall as Dom Flynn, and actually Flynn has a -2 from morale. Numbers looking quite good across 10 games. Interceptions are a little bit high, but the rest looks great, honestly. I really hope the Packers haven't done it again. This right tackle, though, I don't think he's going to have a good time against Davis. He can block against power, especially in the run game, but nothing else. Green Bay had a pretty rough start to the year. Upset the Buccaneers, but 4 straight losses after that. But they've clawed their way back to 500 after a pair of wins in the division. Being swept by the division leader Bears is going to hurt their chances at the division, but who knows, maybe they could chase a wildcard spot. Lots of improvement already for a team that just picked #1 overall, and of course the guy they got is a big part of that. The Packers have a rookie running back who's been starting, but he's injured, so instead it's the veteran Callaway. He's maybe jumping around a bit too much, but they have gotten into the red zone, and that's a fumble. Roquan Smith knocked it out casually almost, and he falls on it. That was the backup running back, normally third string, Anderson. Baltimore wouldn't get much, but after a 71-yard punt down to the 5-yard line, Green Bay is pinned. Davis is right in the backfield, and he blasts Callaway. That ball's bouncing around. Roquan Smith falls on it again. Baltimore gets the ball at the 3-yard line, and it takes one play for DeAndre Swift to get in. Former Lion used to playing this team, and now on play action, McLaughlin is surrounded. Mari Jones was there first, Davis closing in as well, 14-0 Baltimore after that. Davis pressuring again, but McLaughlin's able to get it away. He's generally pretty good under pressure. That's only his 17th sack taken all season, not bad for a rookie. But maybe he does need to work on reading defenses. That's Chris Rose, normally a pass rusher. Zone coverage duties in the hole. McLaughlin did not see him. Baltimore adds another touchdown. It's 21-0, under 2 minutes to go. And on that play, McLaughlin was a deer in the headlights. Davis just ran him down. A 13-yard loss. It's second and very long. Davis beating the right tackle like a drum. Callaway slows him down long enough for McLaughlin to get the ball away. So now 3rd and 23, Green Bay trying to score in this half, and Devontae Davis says no. Somehow McLaughlin managed to pass the ball about a foot, but that would effectively end the half, 21-0 here. Devontae Davis causing more mayhem. Glenn Brackens just cannot handle him, but at least Callaway manages to hold on this time. Skipping ahead almost a full quarter, not much left to see in this one. It's 28-3, and Davis is at it again, another sack for him, telling the Packers they picked the wrong guy at #1. In truth, McLaughlin was actually pretty good, aside from that really bad interception, and kind of freezing up on both Davis sacks, but the big story, Dom Flynn, 3 touchdowns. No picks, 80% completion percentage as well, only 204 yards, but we didn't need much from him. Good day for Devontae Davis, not a ton on here, but the Packers honestly didn't seem to have the ball all that much. But it is going to be a dev upgrade for Dom Flynn. Maybe he's not cooked yet. I did think that was going to be a tall order for him, but he got it done. Here is a quick look at the first version of the playoff bracket. Bengals still have that top spot, but they're essentially tied with the Broncos. Thanks to weekly training, we've got one more upgrade for Devontae Davis. He's really piling him up, 2 more finesse moves. With that 2-game boost, he's up to a 91 for the next game. So watch out Justin Fields. He's having a really good year, 27 touchdowns, 5 picks. Close to what Burrow was at before we played him. Obviously with a couple more games under his belt, but you kind of figure he's not going to be a super high volume passer. He's obviously great with his legs as well, but he's developed really nicely. And I've noticed a lot of superstars don't have abilities, so I've been adding them when I see them. Chicago has a pretty good right tackle, but we might be able to exploit that one weakness in pass block. The Bears started off 3-3. The Bears started out 3-3, mostly with close games, 1 big loss, 1 big win. Then they won 4 straight, 3 of those being in division, but they've lost their last 2. 7-5, they still lead the division, but the NFC North is definitely still open for the taking. Early in the game, the Bears are at midfield. The Bears are missing 2 of their top 3 running backs. It'll be Sherrod and Overstreet today. This is Overstreet, and Davis just turned around off a block to find the ball carrier right in front of him. Easy enough play for him to make. So now it's 3rd and 7. Fields trying to manage this offense, get a conversion. He's looking to pass, but coverage is good. He's going to try to escape, and Devontae Davis says no, just barely brings him down by the shoe. Fields almost got away. Skipping ahead to the second quarter, it's just 3-0 Baltimore. Davis is coming in hot again, and Fields just gets this one away. Nice throw. He's certainly come a long way, but a drop by X-Factor Darnell Mooney would end the drive. On their next drive, perhaps the wrong decision on the read option. Fields is swallowed up easily by Davis in the backfield. Bears would end up punting, and the Ravens get into the end zone, but the extra point is blocked. Chicago on 3rd and 5 already. Davis coming all the way around. Fields gets it away, and it's dropped. We're into the third quarter now. It's 12-3. Receivers still struggling to get open, and Fields lost the ball. Davis dives on it. It's Ravens football. That was Jones who knocked it loose. That would make it 15-3. Bears in plus territory, and Overstreet loses the football. He got clocked by Davis, and there was Green in front of him. He just tripped over the running back. So unfortunately, no return. The Ravens would not score, but it's another setback for this Bears offense. And now Davis is laying out Fields. He's had very little time back there and very little help from his receivers. This is Sherrod on the carry, and for once, Davis cannot knock a guy flat. But there's been little else to show in this second half. Bears still have a shot with a minute left, but Davis is chasing. Fields just throws it away. They would get in here though. And then on 4th and 4 at the Chicago 41, Baltimore elected to try a 58-yard field goal and missed. So Fields has a shot at a Hail Mary, but he dumps it off. Cole Kmet can't get out of bounds, and that's going to be the game. This was an ugly one. Sam Dawson, the backup, is in there because they attempted a fake field goal at one point. Neither quarterback was bad in this game. Actually, pretty good game for Dom Flynn, all things considered. Fields as well, minus the fumble, and he had a bunch of rushing yards. But both teams had a bunch of sacks, and the running backs combined for about 2.5 yards a carry. I'm sure this game brought troubling flashbacks to the Trubisky-era Bears. Nick Bosa, though, had 3 sacks, outdoing Davis, who did have 1 more TFL and a few more tackles. And of course, Davis had the forced fumble as well. Recovered a couple of them. I think Roquan Smith had the same actually, and there wasn't enough going on defensively to work this into the video, but Gio Peterson missed 3 field goals, not to mention the blocked extra point. Can't blame him for the 58-yarder, but pretty rough. Davis is player of the week. Burrow is on there again as well. He's had a much easier time getting these than Eric Lamb ever did. So a good defensive win, but time to move on. We're playing the Browns again. I will show quarterback and right tackle quickly here, but we've already seen them, so no need to linger. We had a close win over them in week 3. That got us over 500 for the first and only time this season. And I should probably mention that's possible again because we've won 3 straight and we're 6-6. The Browns, meanwhile, have lost 4 straight. They're last in the AFC North at 5-7, but very early in this game, they've got the offense across midfield. Devontae Davis trying to put a stop to any threat. Nowhere to go from Michael Carter. So 2nd and 10 for Cleveland. Stretch play to the right, and David Njoku can't hold back Davis. He's been incredible in the run game this year despite being drafted as a pass rusher. And there he is again. Despite Davis's heroics though, the Browns have just flipped the field on back-to-back run plays up the middle. Browns at the 34, Bradham in motion. Davis doesn't get the angle on Carter, and now he throws away Roquan Smith, and he's in the clear. And it's an early 14-0 lead for the Browns. They found the secret. All they have to do is not run it at Devontae Davis. To their credit, the Ravens have fought back in the second quarter. 14 all, but Cleveland is back in the red zone, and they got too comfortable. They forgot to block Davis. Ball is on the ground. Phillip Chambers lands on it. Davis has created another turnover, but it's a wasted possession for Baltimore. Stachelski under pressure gets it away. Poorly played by Roquan Smith. He could have contested that. Instead, a big catch for Njoku. Now from the 7-yard line, time ticking away, no timeouts left, lots of time for Stachelski. He finally throws, it's caught, touchdown Max Bradham, but there is a penalty marker on the field. This is going to come back for holding, but that does not cause a runoff, so Cleveland is going to be able to add a field goal here. That's correct according to the NFL rulebook. I don't understand why it is that way, but the Ravens are honestly lucky to only be down 3. And what happened with Devontae Davis on that play? This, the game said, was a win on the pass rush move. He swims to the right and then just floats back left to get sucked into the guard. Yeah, okay. Much later on this drive, it's 3rd and goal from the 3 for Cleveland. Toss outside, broken tackle, but Roquan Smith is there to clean it up. They'll be held to 3, so it's still a 6-point game, but the Baltimore offense is not doing anything. Stroke of luck though, because this play was a mess for Cleveland. Nick crossed there first, followed by Devontae Davis. But this team just can't buy a stop when it needs it right now. Carter takes a shot from Davis in the backfield, but he hangs on to the ball. The Ravens need a turnover here, but instead it's Treylon Burks wide open in the end zone. Believe me when I say there was nothing else worthwhile in this game. 28-14 the final score. Flynn somehow had a 101.5 passer rating, despite having a 58% completion percentage. Those 2 touchdowns are propping him up, but it was not a good game. Run game didn't help in this one either, and it doesn't always come up, but this team just cannot stop a half-decent tight end in the passing game. No sacks for Devontae Davis today, but 6 tackles for loss is insane. Certainly caused some pressure in the passing game as well. Unfortunately, the defense could never string together enough good plays when they needed them. Of course, I came into this season not really expecting team success. The Ravens have kind of already outperformed my expectations, but the individual accomplishments are what I'm looking for. Another upgrade for Devontae Davis, he really is racking up the numbers. And I didn't think to check until after this game, but Dom Flynn has actually already signed a 4-year, $30 million extension. It was a few weeks ago before he got the StarDev upgrade, so potentially a steal. If he can keep developing. Of course, he's already 25. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, though, let's see if he can outdo Joe Burrow a second time this season. Since he starts with the ball, they've got an early 3rd down. Joe Mixon gets the handoff, he's got it and more. Davis just got enough of him to bring him down. Not great defensive effort on that play. And the Bengals have marched down the field. They're down to the 22-yard line here. Quick pressure from Davis, but Marlon Humphrey got completely turned around and T. Higgins stumbles into the end zone. Marcus Williams should have stopped him, don't know what he was doing. High effort on special teams, we blocked the extra point, but the Ravens' first drive went backwards 19 yards. Burrow gets it away under pressure. They're right back in the red zone. They would score again. This is what we expected in the first game. Burrow looks elite. Ravens can't catch a break, and even when it's thrown right to them, they can't catch a break. Perhaps the best play for the Ravens so far, a punt down to inside the 1, but no chance at a safety this time. The Bengals get out of the shadow of their own end zone. They keep driving. Pressure up the middle from Davis, but nobody can cover today. It's a first down for Wan'Dale Robinson. Across midfield, it's a handoff to Mixon, and Davis comes through. He lays the wood. And this Baltimore crowd got to cheer for something for a minute until Jamar Chase got into the end zone. So we go into the second half. It's 23-0 Bengals. They're driving again. Davis pressuring, awkward little pass from Burrow, and Marlon Humphrey is cooked. You got to make a play on that, man. The Ravens have finally gotten on the board, but it's 40-3. An absolute walloping. This goes well beyond a revenge game. At least Devontae Davis got to hit somebody a couple times. And he's going to wave goodbye to the home crowd. Go on, get out of here. What are you still doing here? Joe Burrow, 39 of 43 for 391 and 4 touchdowns. I don't know how that's not a perfect quarterback rating. And I was all ready to complain about Dom Flynn, but honestly, he wasn't that bad, especially considering we had 1.3 yards per carry. Flynn got sacked 6 times as well. Certainly don't think I can blame all 6 on him. Couple TFLs for Devontae Davis. Completely meaningless, honestly. One they scored a touchdown anyways, the other one they were just running out the clock, but at least it's something. I'm going to blame the offensive line this time. I want to see if Dom Flynn can do a little better and get some development for the future. Mostly just because I think it's interesting, but also the offensive line needs a fire lit under them. This week we're going to take on the Lions. They're the only team in the North that is not 7-7, and a loss this week would effectively, if perhaps not mathematically, eliminate them from playoff contention. Checking out the AFC, the Bills and Texans at 8-6 are the teams that we need to catch right now. Doesn't help that we lost to the Texans, of course, and we need to bypass the Raiders, Steelers, and Browns. So either we win out and the Texans lose out, or we get into some kind of 3-way scenario where the head-to-head doesn't matter. We do play the Raiders before the end of the year, but first, it's 99 overall Trevor Lawrence, one of the most accurate quarterbacks you'll ever see, not so much on short accuracy, and he's got an incredible offensive line, including Penei Sewell, apparently only the number 2 right tackle, but he's really, really good. I don't think it matters. It'll be a tough matchup, and the Lions' first possession will start at their own 4 after a great punt. Noah Miller not getting anywhere on this run. You may remember him from his incredible performances in the Lions' playoff run a couple years ago. Unfortunately, that fizzled out, along with the rest of the Lions' offense in the Super Bowl. Today, though, they've got a good drive going. Pressure from Devontae Davis on first down. Lawrence will throw it away, but the Lions would get into the end zone, and they have the ball back right away here. This will be another handoff to Miller. He's got some room outside. Cunningham can't catch him. Throws away Marcus Williams, and he's clocked by Davis. He lost the football. Chris Rose picks it up. What a great hustle play for the rookie, getting all the way downfield, and he's able to surprise Miller with the big hit. Baltimore did nothing with that possession, but the fumble still probably saved at least 3 points, as this throw is a little inaccurate, almost picked off by Sloan, and once again the Lions have it within their own 5-yard line. Davis wants to get another safety, but he won't quite get to Miller before the back escapes the end zone. The Lions did get a first down, but have now gone backwards the last couple of plays, so it's 3rd and 18 for Trevor Lawrence. Nobody open, pressure coming, and Davis flings him down just outside the end zone, but it'll be 4th and 31 from the 1-yard line. perhaps that will create a spark for this Baltimore team. Or not. Lions are driving again. 3rd and 7. Lawrence throws, and Roquan Smith just dropped a pick on the 2nd consecutive play. So we get another pair of punts, and now it's another 3rd down for the Lions. Defense has been great since that first drive. Fires to the right, and it's jumped by Marlon Humphrey. He's got room in front of him. Trevor Lawrence is closing fast, does not want to pick 6 on his record, but Humphrey is down to the 13, giving a great chance to Baltimore to score, and they would get 3 points. So 7-3 in the second half. Detroit driving once more. It's 3rd and 2. Davis has moved to the left side of the line this half, trying to get a different matchup from Penei Sewell. But they've got Demario Kidd over there, and he's pretty good as well. And it seems that plan wasn't effective. Detroit got back in the end zone. Davis has switched back to his old side, and he applies pressure here. That one awkward and incomplete. But Lawrence remains unfazed, and he's going to find Ziegler for a great catch here. That's the 4th string receiver. Extra point was blocked, and the Ravens offense finally woke up. It's 20-10. 3rd down for Lawrence. He's not finding anything. And here comes Devontae Davis all the way around the line. Amari Jones helps clean up, and I think Davis covered about 30 yards on that play. 4th and very long. Detroit will punt, and Baltimore is back in the end zone. It's a 3-point game with 3 minutes to go. 3rd and 3 for Detroit. 3's all over the place. Time for Lawrence. He fires to the sideline, and it's broken up by Justin Sloan. They're going to try a 53-yard field goal here, assuming it's not a fake. It is not. The kick is up, and it is wide left. Baltimore gets into the end zone. 40 seconds to go in this one. All 3 timeouts for Detroit, but they're going to have to go 98 yards. I don't know how that happened on the kickoff. DeSim said there was a 2-yard penalty against the Lions, but that would mean holding at the 4 or something, so I don't know. Detroit struggling to move the ball. 1 timeout left. Lawrence is pressured, and he just gets it away before being clobbered by Davis. That one is knocked down. If it had been caught, they could have called the timeout and had a reasonable shot, but now it's 3rd and 10. 84 yards to go, only a couple seconds remaining, and that throw will pad some stats, but time is out. This game's over, and Baltimore has completed a huge comeback. They'd gone 9 quarters without a touchdown dating back to the Cleveland game, and then exploded for 21 points in the 4th quarter. This is truly one of the most Detroit Lions things I've ever seen the Detroit Lions do, and it's going to end any hopes of a playoff berth. Lawrence was pretty good aside from the interception. It was a little late, but kind of a weird route. It wasn't really a comeback. The receiver just stopped and turned around. Flynn was horrible all game until the 4th quarter. He had a couple interceptions that I don't think I mentioned. I skipped a bunch of defensive drives because there was just nothing to really show. Run game was pretty bad again. I'm not sure if that's Swift's fault or the offensive line. Joey Drescher was probably the main part of the comeback, scored that first touchdown, and Mark caught the go-ahead touchdown. Pretty good day for Davis, sack and a half, and that huge forced fumble. We had a goal in this game in regards to sacks, and allowed several, 2 to Aiden Hutchinson. It wasn't as bad as the Bengals game, but still not really confidence-inspiring. The Bills won this week, the Texans lost, so one more loss from them could put us in good shape, but we're probably going to need some complicated help besides that. And Chris Rose is up for a development upgrade. Holding a team to under 200 passing yards in this era of football does seem like kind of a tall order, but we are playing against Kevin Blackman. I don't mean to be mean to him all the time, but we've seen a fair bit of him, and I've just never been impressed. And the last time we checked his numbers, he was the only quarterback worse than Dom Flynn in passer rating, aside from Alex Montague, who's kind of a low-rated rookie. And the matchup for Davis this week is the worst starting right tackle in the league by overall. The next worst is in the same division on the Chargers, but has kind of the inverse skill set and would match up much better than Davis. The next worst is like a 77 or something. Hasn't seemed to matter though. The Raiders are driving down the field, almost in the red zone already. Blackman looking to pass, can't find anybody open, steps up, he's knocked down by Davis. The ball is rolling around on the ground, finally picked up by Phillip Chambers, and that's another forced fumble for Devontae Davis. He's been racking them up in the second half of the season. 3-0 lead, and Davis in the backfield. Not often you see Josh Jacobs leveled like that. Davis was billed as this titanic pass rushing prospect, but he's been really good in the run game as well. Now Blackman escaping. He's got a ton of room on this side of the field, and he's got the legs to use it. Big spin move as well, and he's down inside the 10. Raiders would get a touchdown on that drive. Now have a 3rd and inches, up 1, and Davis levels Jacobs again. Ball is out. Amari Jones has it. This guy is unbelievable, but unfortunately so is Dom Flynn, who got picked off 3 plays later, so it remains a 7-6 Vegas lead. 3rd and 8 in plus territory, Blackman bailing out, can't escape Davis and still can't hold on to the ball. Davis picks it up, run, big man, run. He's across the 50 to the 40, but completely ran out of steam. He knocked Blackman to the ground, picked up the ball, and did some kind of reverse nutmeg over him. Baltimore would add their 3rd field goal of the game following that. And now it's Roquan Smith in the backfield forcing a fumble. Jacobs lucky to be right there to pick it up, but they would punt. Baltimore gets into the end zone at last. It's 16-7. Vegas has under 30 seconds and 1 timeout trying to score before halftime. Blackman trying to get to the boundary, but he's taken down by Davis. That's going to cost him a timeout. They're across midfield though, so maybe they can try and get a few yards, get out of bounds, and kick a field goal. Davis bringing pressure. Blackman gets it away. He's got a man open downfield, and Marlon Humphrey just managed to do enough to break it up. I thought for sure that was going to be a touchdown. So 10 seconds to go. Blackman to pass. Even more pressure from Davis. He gets it away, but it's a duck and incomplete. That would effectively end the half into the 3rd quarter now. Vegas is inside the 10, but they've got a 3rd and 4. Blackman changing the play here. He takes the snap and very quickly does not like what he sees. Trying to scramble, but Roquan Smith takes him down. Devontae Davis was there as well. So they settle for 3 into the 4th quarter. It's a 14-point game, but Dom Flynn has just given the Raiders another chance with an interception, and they nearly throw it away. Blackman runs right into Chris Rose and fumbles again. They'd wind up kicking another field goal, but they have the ball back again quickly. Blackman throws to avoid pressure, and it's intercepted by Cross. He's got some green in front of him. Jacobs trying to make the tackle, but that's ruled a touchdown. What a play by Cross. He makes it a 3-score game, and look at the effort here to reach and get the pylon. 6 minutes left, and well, anything could happen. Really don't like the Raiders' chances here. They try a screen pass, and Davis pretty much got blocked right into Josh Jacobs. So count another TFL for him. Following play, and Davis is immediately into the backfield again, but Blackman is able to escape. Looked like he was almost as surprised as I was for a moment, but he gets out of bounds and gets a few yards for the trouble. A couple plays later, 4 minutes to go. They're not moving quickly enough. Blackman doesn't see anybody open. Davis is back there again, and Blackman has fumbled the ball again. Davis lands on it. That would effectively end the game. Baltimore ran out the rest of the clock. Pretty horrific game for Kevin Blackman. Fumbled the ball 5 times, lost 4 times, threw a pick 6 as well, which was pretty much the dagger. And yet he still had a better time passing the ball than Dom Flynn did. 14 of 29 for 170 yards, not to mention 3 picks. Yeah, maybe Baltimore locking Flynn up early was not the shrewd move that I thought it might turn out to be. DeAndre Swift put up some pretty good numbers. Blackman was pretty good with his legs when he managed to hold on to the ball, only 73 carrying or something. For Devontae Davis, 3 TFLs, a sack and a half, and 4 forced fumbles, 2 of which he recovered. Says there's a pass defense there too. I don't know what that was, honestly. Frank Reich is still raving about Chris Rose. Buddy, you're talking about the wrong pass rusher. Whoever it is that chooses Player of the Week knows what they're talking about, though. That honor goes to Davis once again, and Breece Hall also gets it. He had something like an 88-yard receiving touchdown. Pretty fun stat line for him. And with that will come the last upgrade point we'll get to put on him. Extremely close to another upgrade, actually. The bonus XP is because he got Pro Bowl honors. We're also going to get an extra ability for him, and I decided to give him Swim Club. Broncos are the 1 seed, by the way. I can't remember if I mentioned that before, but the Bengals have lost a couple straight. Broncos just lost one as well. Important thing to note here for the Ravens is that the Texans won this week, and the Steelers have won their last 2 games, so we need both of those teams to lose this week. Steelers play the Jags and the Texans play the Titans. So that is very possible. The Ravens are playing Minnesota. They are 8-8, but lost both their games to the Bears. Just a win should cement their place in the playoffs. A win and a Bears loss would give them the division. But the competition for the NFC wildcards this year is pretty weak. The Vikings are led by 6th-year quarterback Clark Dyson, and he's been decent for them. Just seems like he hasn't really developed that much. Since the Vikings are my team, I've been keeping a bit of a closer eye on him throughout the series. I kind of thought the Vikings were going to move on from him last year, but they did end up giving him kind of a mid-extension. Brian O'Neill is in year 12, and he's still very good. It's going to be a really tough test for Davis today. Without further ado, let's get into it. The last regular season game, perhaps the last game in total, for Davante Davis's rookie season. Wallace runs right into him. Vikings would convert third down, but are still backed up due to a good punt, and there's another hit laid by Davis. He's been doing that just all year long. Nothing yet in the pass game though, and the Vikings have kept driving. They're across midfield, but a great move by Davis. Dyson can't find anywhere to go, and he's going to be sacked for a loss of 14 yards. Vikings would end that drive with a 59-yard field goal. Now they've got it back. Davis getting pressure, but the ball is out to Jamison Williams, and he mosses Marlon Humphrey. A couple drives later, Ravens have a 7-6 lead, but the defense is not doing a great job, and Justin Jefferson gives the Vikings the lead right back. 13-7, and with little time left in the first half, the Vikings are looking to extend their lead. 42 seconds, but all 3 timeouts. Dyson looking to pass, but Davis will force him to get the ball out quickly. That drive would go nowhere, but to open the third quarter, they're right back at the goal line, and Jamison Williams is wide open. Dyson hits him easily, and any hopes of the playoffs are quickly slipping away for Baltimore. Score of this game aside, Houston is up 10 on Tennessee. Vikings would not get the 2-point conversion, so it's a 12-point game, but they've got the ball back once more. Run up the gut, and Davis knocks the ball loose. He's been doing that constantly this year. Unfortunately, Ezra Cleveland right there to fall on it, but the Vikings have a 4th and 1, and Davis fills the gap. He'll make a strong tackle. Akers goes down, and that's a turnover on downs. The Ravens offense finally gets something going. They get a touchdown, and with the goal line stand, the Ravens could keep this a 1-score game. 7 minutes to go in what could be the season for Baltimore, but the fullback gets in the end zone, and hope is quickly dissipating for Baltimore, especially after ending up on a 4th and 20 and unsurprisingly failing to convert. Not sure why the Vikings are passing up 2 scores. And is Davante Davis not getting held there? Sure looked like it to me, but Minnesota would add 7. And then Dean Thomas scores a long touchdown on a 4th down. Vikings have 3rd down. It's not technically over. Davis will make the tackle, and that'll get the Ravens the ball back. So it's not technically over until Dom Flynn throws an interception on the second play. 33-21 would be your final score. The Texans beat the Titans pretty soundly. So although the Steelers did lose to the Jaguars, it wouldn't have mattered as far as our playoff hopes. One last upgrade for Davis here that we won't get to play with. I did forget to look at the box score, but honestly, it's pretty forgettable aside from the sack and a few TFLs for Davis. Despite the new contract, I don't think Dom Flynn is going to be the long-term answer for the Ravens. I'll leave it at that. However, this team did perform better than I expected. I think there was a lot of luck involved to be sure, and they did have their embarrassing moments, like getting blown out by the Bengals or blowing a big lead to the Steelers, but they had some good moments as well. Cincinnati did end the year on a 3-game losing streak after shellacking us, and as a result, they fell to the 2 seed in the AFC. It's a mediocre year for the rest of the division. Jacksonville was 5-6 and then won 6 straight to get the division. The Texans were pretty up and down all year, so they miss out on the title, but they do get a wild card spot, and I think they're good enough to contend. The Patriots are back on top of the East, followed closely by the Bills, who are back in the playoffs despite having not as strong of a year from Josh Allen. The Jets, well, at least they did better than last year, and the Dolphins in the second year with their new quarterback are actually the worst team in the league. Nice to see Denver as the 1 seed and actually the top team in the league in terms of record. Meanwhile, Kansas City makes it as the 5 seed. Always a threat, of course. The Bears won their game, so they do beat out the Vikings for the North. Minnesota ends up with the 7 seed, I believe. Lions jumped the Packers at the end of the year, but honestly a disappointing season for Detroit and a promising one for Green Bay. The NFC South was pretty weak this year. Not really sure what's going on with Lamar and the Falcons. Herbert and the Saints have never really been that good. Not sure what happened with the Bucks, but they're good enough that they can compete in the playoffs, I think. Meanwhile, the Giants have the 2nd best record in the league, so Jeremiah Edwards leads them to a 1 seed. And the Cowboys won 6 straight, which I assume aligns with Dak's return. They just sneak into the playoffs, and they actually get the 6th seed over Minnesota. Finally, the West belongs to the Seahawks yet again. They actually lost 2 straight to end the year, so they surrender the 1 seed to the Giants. And the 49ers, I think, might be the first wildcard team from the NFC West in this series. And then a quick look at the bottom of the standings in the league. Dolphins and Eagles with 4 wins, Chargers and Saints with 5, Colts, Falcons, Rams, probably some other teams with 6. So here's your bracket for the start of the playoffs. Another big matchup between Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. The Patriots host the Texans, and Patrick Mahomes will travel to the county of Duval. Denver and the New York Giants will both be on byes. We've got the Seahawks hosting the 7-seed Vikings. Let's not talk about the last playoff matchup between these teams. Bucks will play the Cowboys, which I believe has happened several times in this series already. and the Bears may be a home underdog against the Niners. We're going to sim ahead to the Super Bowl shortly, but first let's take a quick look at stats. Dom Flynn is under a 90 passer rating, just hit 4,000 yards, which really isn't bad, but 26 touchdowns to 12 picks. Honestly would have expected more interceptions, but they kind of came in bunches. He did manage to hit 60% completion rating on the year. DeAndre Swift ran for 1,100 yards this year, 12 touchdowns. Yards per carry wasn't great. Notably unnotable is last year's first-round pick, Isaiah Henley, 11 carries, 32 yards, 1 touchdown. Dean Thomas is the team's only 1,000-yard receiver. Andrews missed it by a bit, and Gordon Bailey actually got 900 and led the team in touchdowns. Great rookie season for him. Roquan Smith had 226 total tackles. Only 103 solo. Honestly, that wasn't even close to leading the league. All over the stat sheet, though. 3 sacks, 4 picks, only 9 TFLs, which, I don't know, maybe that's fine. He and Chambers were not very good in pass coverage, despite both scoring touchdowns. 24.5 sacks is the final total for Devontae Davis, 123 total tackles, and 37 tackles for loss. Crazy number for a rookie. I believe the record is 39 by JJ Watt, and he also has the second best spot at something like 32. I looked this up a couple of days ago, but I don't remember now. And also a ludicrous 12 forced fumbles, 5 recovered. I believe the record for a single season is 10 forced fumbles. This seems like a very Madden number, which is kind of funny since in the sim there's kind of a lack of forced fumbles. Checking in on some old friends. Really good season for Rosie. Great season for Javonte Williams, a lot of touchdowns. Looks like the passing yards were a lot more spread out though. Jerry Jeudy, the only 1,000-yard receiver on this team, although John Pierce was close and had 10 touchdowns as well. On defense, Parker Finley leads this team in tackles again. Baron Browning leads the team in sacks with 16. That's pretty high on the league leaderboard. 10.5 for Lamb along with 12 TFLs. That's honestly pretty good. You never really know what the sim is going to give you for different guys, especially with different playbooks. Up to 91 overall with 95 power moves. I don't remember where we left him at. Hargrove had a solid year, lots of yards. Touchdowns very good. Interceptions could be a little better, but they generally seem to be pretty high in this sim, and really much better than last year. Hopefully we continue to see him perform better and better as the sim goes on. Breece Hall was still great, not as good as last year. I think he had like 1,500 yards or something. Wilson and Samuel both over 1,200 yards, a lot more touchdowns for Wilson. And Mechie almost hit 1,000 yards. He was clearly a good addition for them. Defense is probably a little less interesting to us, but I did want to show their stats as well, including Paul Cunningham. 9 TFLs, 9 sacks, that's a good season for him. Around the rest of the league, Cooper Shields leads in yards, but Joe Burrow right behind him with more touchdowns, fewer interceptions, and a better completion percentage. Allen Bailey high in yards and picks again. Sam Smith high in yards with his new team. Great year for Greg McLaughlin. Will need to come down from those 22 interceptions, however. Another really good season for Jeremiah Edwards. He's right in front of Hargrove. The Colts rookie Montague did end up with more touchdowns than interceptions, but whole lot of interceptions here. Lamar Jackson's numbers not looking so hot either. And then here's the part of the league that is at or below the Purdy line, at least in terms of yardage. Justin Fields had almost a touchdown for every 100 yards, only 7 picks. Dak had a pretty good year in shortened time, and it looks like the Panthers actually started a rookie in the back half of the year. Not sure who he is or what exactly prompted that, but it looks like he did pretty well overall. And I'm just noticing this, but there's somebody down there who went 3 of 3 for 2 touchdowns, 158.3 quarterback rating, and 39 yards on those passes. That's pretty interesting. Anyways, league leader in rushing yards is Jonathan Taylor, closely followed by Saquon. Dameon Pierce, however, leads in touchdowns. Wait, just kidding, it's Damian Harris, just under 1,000 yards, but 22 touchdowns. That's an interesting stat. Christian Kirk leads all receivers, but Justin Jefferson just 7 yards behind him on 17 less catches. And he also led the league in touchdowns with 18. Love that for JJ. We see Joshua Felton up here. The Baltimore Ravens certainly helped with that total. Jamar Chase and Stephon Diggs high on the list as usual. And Michael Gillespie, he was normal dev, but he was the highest overall player in the draft this year. I believe a 78. He gets 1,300 yards on 97 catches and 10 touchdowns. That's awesome. All kinds of weapons for Jeremiah Edwards, some familiar faces in here as well, from both the Jets and the Broncos. And finally on defense, Devontae Davis leads the league in sacks, 24.5. Aiden Hutchinson second on this list with 18, although I think Chase Young was around that number as well, just didn't have enough tackles. Baron Browning really high on the list. Von Miller is apparently playing well still at like 37 years old or something. Really good mix in this list of real-life players who are veterans in the game now, and players generated by the game. Always like to see that kind of transition. Davis is the TFL leader as well, of course. Crosby always seems to be up there too. And here's the Pro Bowl. If you've been paying attention, this may spoil the Super Bowl matchup for you. Not a whole lot of our favorites from this series on the list, but a lot of guys that we're familiar with certainly. Davante Davis takes the #1 spot at left end in the AFC. I also noticed the second-year Indianapolis Colts, Adrian Wiley, at right end. I didn't look too closely at this list as I went down, but I did notice that LaShawn Wiley, our safety last year in Denver, made it, along with the punter that I hated in Denver. So, Next, let's look at the awards. Joe Burrow is MVP. Runner-up is Justin Fields. Many of the usual suspects down below that. Nathaniel Hackett wins Coach of the Year again. So starting with the NFC, it's Justin Jefferson for Offensive Player of the Year. I think he's kind of underperformed the last couple of years because Madden hates the Vikings, but he does well this year. Aiden Hutchinson is Defensive Player of the Year. He seems like he's always in the running along with Chase Young. And the rookie Michael Gillespie gets it over the #1 pick. Will be up to an 82 after they use that upgrade point, which isn't amazing development, but he did get that double upgrade star and superstar dev at once, so he could see a lot of development in his sophomore season, and he's earned it. Defensive Rookie of the Year is Cameron Robertson, a player that I noticed but didn't look too closely at. He did come out of the draft with Superstar Dev, did not get an upgrade from winning Defensive Rookie of the Year, which often I'll just give it to them anyways. But if they already have Superstar, it gives me a little more pause. 8 sacks, 14 TFLs is good, obviously, but I don't think good enough to give X Factor. Justin Fields wins Best Quarterback, Best Running Back to Saquon. JJ, of course, for Best Receiver. Best OL always seems made up, but Chris Lindstrom is really good. We played against him last year. Aiden Hutchinson's name will pop up again at defensive line. The 5 and 12 Saints have 2 players on this list actually, which is interesting. Second-year linebacker wins the award in Green Bay. Legion of Boom may be back in Seattle. And Hayden Allen, who won Best Kicker with the Broncos, now wins it with the Cardinals. In the AFC, it's Joe Mixon for Offensive Player of the Year. I think it was third in both yards and touchdowns. And then Davante Davis wins Defensive Player of the Year. Roquan manages third on the list, but great year for Davis. From the beginning, I was concerned that the lack of polish could not be made up for by the athleticism, but it really seemed like it did. Certainly made a lot of plays with him that Eric Lamb would have been able to make. And Gordon Bailey's Offensive Rookie of the Year beats out Montague due to all the interceptions, probably why Greg McLaughlin didn't get it either. Obviously, Davis wins Defensive Rookie of the Year as well. Paul Cunningham is second on the list, though. That's nice to see for the Jets. I'm a little surprised Phillip Chambers is so low, but I guess he probably didn't have any sacks. Joe Burrow is Best Quarterback, beats out Patrick Mahomes. That's a duel that's been running for 10 years at this point. Taylor beats out Mixon despite Mixon being Offensive Player of the Year, so Mixon must have had more receiving stats. Jamar Chase beats out Christian Kirk for Best Receiver. I think Kirk didn't have all that many touchdowns, which is probably it. Garrett Wilson in third. 2 Chiefs in the top 3 for Best Offensive Line. Davante Davis, again, Best Defensive Line. Max Crosby, Best Linebacker. Baron Browning on the list. By the way, Eric Lamb was 5th on defensive line. Snead is Best Cornerback. I feel like I've seen him on this list before. And apparently I cut off the kicker, but who cares? We'll skip that and go to what's important. We've got 5 upgrade points for Davante Davis. Like I've done in the past, I'm not going to show doing each one, but here is the total of all the upgrades. 8 awareness, which should help him as he moves to being a simmed player next year. 5 finesse moves, which is great. And a bunch of other upgrades including agility and acceleration, up to 93 finesse moves. So almost 20 upgrade points into that this year. His tackling's always been good, but it gets even better. Acceleration up to a 92, pursuit up to 90. And the game did award him X Factor, as it should. I swapped out Swim Club for Edge Threat and gave him Unstoppable Force, obviously. Gordon Bailey also became a superstar. Not a lot of options here for talents, but I gave him Matchup Nightmare. Seemed to make sense for him. I'm not noticing any other dev trait changes on the offense. Wasn't super plugged in on these guys. Wouldn't be surprised if Swift was previously star and lost it, or maybe Joey Drescher, but I'm not too concerned about those guys because we didn't play with them. Phillip Chambers gets a boost to star, and I didn't look at Roquan Smith having superstar because I kind of forgot he wasn't already. I think the rest of this is unchanged. And if you hadn't already guessed, the Super Bowl will be between the Bengals and the Bears. So if we can say nothing else about this season, aside from Davante Davis's amazing campaign, the Baltimore Ravens beat whoever it was that won the Super Bowl. Looks like the first round went mostly as expected in the AFC. Chiefs do upset the Jaguars, but that's a minor upset. But then the Broncos go one and done, falling to division rival Kansas City. Heartbreak in the NFC Championship for my Vikings once again, although they did put up a 50 burger in Seattle. Love that. The Giants also go one and done. So two 9-8 teams in the NFC Championship, and Chicago gets to the Super Bowl on 3 straight one-score victories. And they do it again in the Super Bowl. This looks like it must have been a really fun game. Over 900 yards of total offense, 3 touchdowns for both quarterbacks, about 40 more yards for Burrow, but he did have a pick and was sacked 4 more times. Both teams ran the ball really well, 6.5 a carry for Joe Mixon. I do wonder if Mitchell got hurt because the Bears have a bunch of guys in this list who got carries. I do know Mitchell was hurt when we played him. Despite all the passing yards, only one 100-yard receiver. It's Higgins at exactly 100 yards. Seems like the targets were pretty spread out in this one. Defensively, Nick Bosa had 2 sacks. Good Super Bowl impact for him. 400-year-old Von Miller picks up half a sack. And the interception was by Bobby Donald, who I think picked off Dom Flynn as well. Justin Fields is your Super Bowl MVP. There are the rest of your awards around the league. And this has been a really long video, so I'm going to sign off quickly. But I just want to say I had a ton of fun putting together this season. Hope you're having fun with it as well. If you are, I'd appreciate a like and subscribe. I know this season was a little fast-paced. I don't regret doing it that way, but I'll probably slow it down and do maybe 3 episodes instead of 2 for future seasons like this one, where the draft class doesn't churn out a super amazing prospect and the team isn't competing for anything. Or maybe I'll still do 2 episodes, but go through some of those games even more quickly and casually. The problem is I do still want to kind of show off the evolution of the league, and I can't take a minute and a half to show off the opponent if the game itself only lasts like 45 seconds. Anyways, depending what day I actually upload this video, you can expect the next off-season draft and preseason video to either be the end of this week or early next week. Till then, I'm Nose. See you next time.